Welcome back to Jameson's Repair Shop. We just came back from 7 days camping with this Prairie Dory. We drove about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes north of where we live, up into northern Saskatchewan, up into the forest as they call it. We had rain, we had sun, we had just above zero temperatures. It dipped down to about to +8 degrees Celsius. So it was cool and it was hot all the same. The trailer worked really well. The daughter really enjoyed the space. And in this video, we're just gonna cover what footage I have of the final assembly of the Prairie Dory, which not all is there, like assembling the trim. We didn't have that. Putting the windows and door in, we didn't have that. We were just trying to get it done because we had a deadline to meet. And there's work to be done on the trailer still, like some finishing, some hole filling and stuff like that, just to make it look better. But the trailer itself works excellent. We're really happy with it. And stay tuned at the end of this video, and it'll show. I have a short video clip of the trailer in the park where we camped out. So hang in there and enjoy. Thanks. Hey Beverly, what you up to?
I am laying out for the window trim, inside window trim. And then I'm just going to cut this out. This is from a scrap piece that we cut out of the window hole, out of the larger size, and then we're going to turn it into a window frame for the small one, and then the middle piece we'll use for something else. I'm not sure what yet, but...
So you're just drawing a radius on is what you're doing for the cut them out?
Yeah, so it's going to cut... I'll match these up, so we'll basically get an 1.5" frame that will go on the inside to hold as a bezier for the window, because the window is about twice as thick. Well, it is twice as thick as the 3/4 inch plywood, so we mash that together and we'll have a good solid little frame for the window to hold into.
Okay, sounds good. Over here we have the inside frame of the large window. All cut and glued. It'll need to be sanded and, make it look pretty. But that's it. Back on the Prairie Dory. I'm working on these ribs installing these ribs that Beverly made. They look really nice. They're kind of a vintage airplane look. That'll add some interior design to the Prairie Dory. And let's go see what Beverly's doing. What are you up to, Beverly?
I'm making the cupboard door, so we're just cutting out the slots for the handhold right now.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
So you can use a jigsaw to do that, eh?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Just get the notches out and then connect the dots.
Okay. Okay, got the 3 ribs in. looking pretty spiffy. Nice job Beverly did on those. They'll have to be sanded and they'll be urethaned as well. And here's the little screws that I was talking about earlier, these GRK screws, and I'll show you what they are right here. So this is a box of 100. These are 1.5 inches by a number 8 1.5 inches, and they're a trim screw. They're good for outdoors. They're compatible with pressure treated lumber as well. So the head is pretty tiny on them. I don't know if you can, where the camera is on this thing. Like focus on it. Anyway, you get the point. And they're number 10 Torx. So yeah, that's looking pretty good there. And we'll, once they're all, they kind of self countersink, so you don't need to go by and do anything with them. So it's kind of nice. I suspect you have to clean up the hole a tiny bit. And then we're going to go over this whole, all of it with another coat of urethane. Seal them in there. And I put a whole row along here. Maybe overkill, not sure. We'll see how the buggy holds up on the road. Okay, getting these end pieces on for the radius. So I have them fastened on the ends. Both ends are fastened. And I marked off, we're doing a foot apart. So it's a foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot. So there's a center line is at the 2 foot mark. So what I'm doing is, rather than just drilling in and going full bore and pre-drilling with a bit, I just use the screw, but I only go down till it marks the rib, and then I'll take these back off and I'll pre-drill into the rib so it doesn't split the plywood. Even these little fine screws, there's a danger of splitting the plywood. And that's where I'm at. Okay, now I'm putting getting ready to pre-drill the ribs inside. So I just use a screw, one of these screws, but I don't sink it right down because I don't want to split the plywood. So what I do is I just sink them in about this far. They're about halfway in. They're 1.5 inch screws, so I go just a little better than halfway. It'll mark the rib, but it won't drill into it. And so I have them all marked off, so that's what I'm doing now. Did these ones. So just going along, making the pre-drill holes, then I'll pull all of these back off again because I have them fastened on the end. So I want them to be ready to be glued and sealed whatever way we need to do it. All right, got them all marked off, drilled with the screw, and then I'm going to go in, take these all back off again, and I am going to just countersink with this bit, and we'll get back to you. Okay, I got the upper arch or the radius done. From here down to here, all that's glued together, and that's the way it'll be. It'll be one assembly. We didn't glue, can't tell, we didn't glue this one, and we didn't glue the upper one yet. We want to put this in as one piece. So once this hardens and it's all ready, like give it 24 hours, then we'll start gluing it onto the roof area. Same with the back, or the front rather. That's the back and this is the front. Same thing. These four are all put together and glued together onto the ribs, but not onto the rest of it. So what we're going to do, I jumped ahead a little bit there. What we're going to do is take this all back off, and then we'll sand it again, and we'll urethane again. This one's not bad, but the front needs to be completely done. They urethane all the ribs, and there's screws. I didn't put the screws back in here, so it's sticking out a little bit. But the screws will suck that in once we get ready to glue it. But that's it. That's the Prairie Dory starting to come together pretty good. Right there. All right. All right, what are you doing now, Beverly?
Okay, well this is the handhold. So we got the center line, and then we measured out, got my 2 holes drilled, and now I got my square lines on there. So we'll use the jigsaw to cut these couple of lines out, and then we'll router the back side, and trim up the door, and we're one cover door done.
Perfect, thanks. Okay, Beverly, what are you up to?
Okay, so we're just sort of sizing this up. we're gonna have a small shelf here, which we don't have a piece cut for. And then we're gonna have a spacer on either side to allow for the cupboards to be open past the windows. And it's kind of gonna look like, let me just steal one of these. The shelf will be like that. The spacer will be like that. Get to stay, which it won't.
Never stays.
There.
Clamps
And
are
the
handy.
cupboards will be like this and hinged. They have to be cut. We left some room, so we have room to cut. So they'll fit flush down there. They'll fit square up here, and they'll be hinged with piano hinge, and they'll come up like this to be able to put your bags and your laptop and battery.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. Easy peasy.
Okay, thanks for the update
Yeah.
on the cubbies. Okay, this is a trim frame for the door. This will be the like a spacer frame because the door is 1.5 inches inside. So that's it, all glued together. And I'll show as we build it.
So we're putting together, we're doing the final assembly now. We raised the roof up, and then we ran glue down the sides and screwed it all back down. So that assembled, and then we started on the arches. We pre-drilled holes from the support beam into the, whatever you want to call them, we call them wings. So we have screws in from this side, we have screws in from the top, and we glued and screwed every surface we could find that needed it, and yeah, that's where we're at. We still have windows, we still have obviously the ends, we have the other end to do.
And all this stuff here to go
all
has
the
to go on.
stuff, yeah, we have cupboards we're still working on, we got the door frame that's almost ready. And yeah, I think final assembly is going to work pretty fast. It's just a lot of little steps now.
Okay, well that's a good update, Beverly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, this is the Prairie Dory. I've got the first coat on it. We installed quite a bit since the last videoed. I need to finish up here. I need some more crack sealing. Make sure that it doesn't leak, so we got to fill in some gaps there, slate gaps. So we want to nice and then sand it, so we didn't do any urethane up there. But the first coat's coming along nice. We got the cubbies framed in, and the doors are being Beverly's doing the doors, urethane in the doors, and we'll mount them. And once the doors are mounted, we'll get this back piece on, and that'll be the last exterior panel to put on. And then we'll just continue on with the urethane. And this is what Beverly's been doing. This is the frame for the door, or the big door, and then there's the cubby doors. And then there's some a shelf for the front. That's what this is here. That's the shelf for the very front. You'll see up there, way in, there's a 2x4. That'll go on top of that. And another cubby door. And here's some supports for the front shelf. But that's her. She's coming along nicely. We only have about 4 days left to work on this, and then we have to go camping, so we're hustling. Okay, we're taping off the Prairie Dory. We've got all the staining done, or the urethane, except for the final coat. And now we're laying out for the blue stripes for this rig. So
yeah, so we're gonna do 3 stripes, but we had to tape off a lot to get them. So we're gonna have 1 stripe, 2 stripes, and then a large stripe. We put the decal on that we're gonna paint over, and then peel the decal off. So we should have nice little wood underneath the blue. So the trick was to tape off the front and the back, because it's going down in a slope, so we have to go the front and the back, and then make the points meet. So if you want to come around, you see we've done 1/2.
I'll get up here a little higher on the steps so we
Yeah.
can see. All right.
This was tricky because, you know, this doesn't come to a corner, so it's gonna, we had to measure the distance down, put a square on, find the point where it meets, and we did the front as well. A little cleanup to do there.
So now what's left?
Next left is the door side that we'll need to tape off, which should actually, in theory, be a little easier because there's 2 gaps, which means smaller
Okay.
distance to pull the tape along.
All right, sounds good. We'll get this all done, and then we'll bring you back when we start painting it.
Yeah.
Okay, Beverly's putting the blue paint to her on the Prairie Dory. We got it all taped off, as I said it a little bit ago. One thing I don't think I mentioned was we use a chalk line to align our tape. So this is the beginning of the blue. Well, there's the first coat of the blue on, and I'm just dry fitting the tail lights, so that's where they're going to sit. And yeah, Beverly's got the blue on one coat. Doesn't look like much right now because tape's all still on there, but I think it's going to be pretty good. And then the final will be a coat of spar urethane over the whole thing. Looks good so far. A little bleed under the tape.
Just a tiny bit.
Oh yeah, well, that's not the end of the world.
Once the urethane's on, it should be okay.
Just think you're working for Chrysler in 1972. Lots of runs, lots of misalignments.
Okay.
And I don't think Chrysler was the only one on that. I think I have a few Fords that are like that. Alrighty, that's looking pretty spiffy. What do you think?
I want to see this one done.
Alright.
Look at that.
Wow.
That's going to be good.
Pulling the tape off. Yeah. Alright, we'll bring you back. Alright, do that one and then I'll shut the video off, and then we'll come back when it's all done. Oh yeah, that's nice. It's coming out nice. All right, we'll come back when it's done. Hey, all right, Beverly, what are you up to?
We're going to do the big reveal.
The reveal of the Prairie Dory.
Yeah, we'll open this.
So Bev's got all the tape off, and we just want to talk. There's a little bit of bleed under the tape. You'll see some of the spots we'll have to go by, and we're going to try to crisp them up. Good reason why not to use cheap painter's tape. Get the good stuff when you're doing this work. We grabbed some stuff we already had, and that was a mistake. Now we got to go back and do the rework. But anyway, Beverly's getting the Prairie Dory taken off, and those taillights are just sitting there. They're not fastened down yet, so because this whole thing needs another coat of spar urethane. But it's looking good. Oh yeah, look at that. That's the Dory.
Get the Prairie going.
And where's the Prairie? Come on, Prairie.
Slow.
Who made that logo?
I printed that on my vinyl cutter
Yeah.
this morning. It's just a basic
Just a basic font.
handwritten font.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Spelt Prairie right, did you?
I don't know.
So I usually
You
spell.
wanna spell check me?
I usually spell it wrong.
If it was a
Takes me about 3 times usually before I realize I spelt it wrong.
If it was a tattoo, it'd be wrong.
Yeah, I'd have to check it before I started doing any tattooing. You wouldn't want me doing your tattoos. You'll have a lot of mistaken words. Whoa, look at that.
Wow.
Go stand beside it, Beverly. Well, that looks really nice. That stands right out. Right on. All right, let's go a little walk around here quickly. Well, there's the slope. It's really tight quarters, so it's hard to get a good view of it all. I'll try to get it the best we can. Well, that looks pretty spiffy, I think. Pretty darn sweet. As I've been hearing lately, mint. It's mint.
Pretty darn good.
Pretty minty. All right. So now it needs a full coat, like I said, and then we have the windows and doors to put in. Windows and door. And put the trailer under it. Tomorrow the trailer will be under. Great. Thanks, Beverly.
It's good.
All right, we had some bleed through. I don't know if Beverly can see it, but I showed it on another video.
I just zoom in and
So you'll see some bleed through under that cheaper tape we used. So we've come up with a fix for it, a quick fix. Beverly taped off over the blue, and I have a piece of 3/4 just scrap wood with some 220 sandpaper on it, and then we just go along. Am I still in camera?
Yep.
So you just go along with this and just give it a stroke.
Let's get right in close and see that.
It's a little bit, and it seems like longer strokes are better. It just takes that right off. Like so. You'll see that area there coming clean again. And it's just to freshen up that line is all it is. And you can get along, if you tip the block a little bit, this has all been spar urethane underneath, so all you're doing is sanding into the spar urethane a little bit. And then we're going over the whole thing again anyhow. So that's with the tape. And if you want to do it quickly, and you don't want to spend a lot of time setting the tape up, there's one here, a nice one. You can take a piece of construction cardboard, like this stuff here, very thin. And it does wear down, so you have to be cautious of that. And just line up like this, and hold it with one hand, and just go over it with, and if you're only doing little areas,
Nice and clean.
just like that. And then, so that's what we've been doing with this, to fix this blemish part. I'll do it one more time right here. Just put it on, a few strokes with the block, and you might want to change your sandpaper around from time to time. Just like that.
Very nice.
Nice.
Very
Cleans
nice.
it right up nice.
Yeah, she's gonna look good.
How clean you want it, or a person wants it, is how much more effort you want to put into it. We just want to get this painted, so we're doing it quickly. There we go. We got all the paint correction done. I went over the whole thing with gray Scotch-Brite, just to scuff it up, to give it a little bite to the stuff. This is a gray Scotch-Brite. I went over the blue as well as the spar urethane. And then I went over it with some just water and microfiber cloth. And now I'm setting up to do the final coat of spar urethane over the whole vehicle except the roof. The roof has been done 3 times already. Okay, there's the final coat on the Prairie Dory of spar urethane. It's not a perfect job, but we're running into time constraints right now. This is Wednesday, mid-June, and on Friday we're heading out camping with this rig, so we had to get a coat on it. A little orange peely. That rolling on the spar urethane is tough. It goes on pretty heavy. Brushing it's pretty slow, and you need a really fine brush if you're going to brush it on so it doesn't leave streaks. But that's it. It's what we have right now. And you may notice it's sitting on the trailer already. So yesterday evening I brought the trailer around and I put it on. And there's quite a bit of work yet to do. Fenders need to be mounted, the lights need to be done, and the windows and doors put in. Windows and door put in. But it looks pretty darn good just the same. That'll dry to a satin finish that won't be glossy like it is right now. So it will, some of this orange peel that's on there will probably sink back as the stuff dries out. I noticed it did the same on pieces that I rolled before, and it settled back pretty good. All right, looking pretty darn good, I think.
So we're in the final stages. We have the trim off. Alvin is putting the flexi seal on. We're putting it on the inside of the trim and around the edges. How's it going, Alvin?
Doing well. Like Beverly said, we've got the trim off that we made by gluing it all together in place. And did that yesterday, and that's the urethane glue we used on it. Now I'm just going over the edge. We taped it off so we don't get it all over everything. This Flexi Seal is pretty gummy stuff. And then we will place this back on, put the screws back in and let it sit. Put the tape on it for a while, and then we'll pull the tape off, and it'll take 24 hours for it to completely cure this stuff. Flexi Seal.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that's where we're at. So there's a chip brush. I'm just using a chip brush because this doesn't have to be fancy. And it took, and this is like 16 ounces, and it took most of the can to do this. So that's, and this stuff is like $15 a can to $20 a can, depending where you buy it. Anyway, so now we're ready to throw on the other trim piece on the right side of the vehicle.
There we go. A little bit up there. You can see it along the edges. Looks good. Whoops. Wow, it looks so tiny.
Alright, here we are at the campsite, and we brought the Prairie Dory with us. It's up in northern Saskatchewan, got a nice fire going. At our daughter's trailer right here. She's really enjoying the Prairie Dory. So it's been a good project, and this part of the video will wrap up the project. So and we towed it with our van, as you probably saw in the clip earlier. Well, that's it. It's the Prairie Dory complete, minus a few touch-ups that we didn't get to because of the rush we were in. We put that trim on the last day before we left, or the day we left actually. So we need to do a little work on the trim, fill the holes, and smooth out the joints a bit. But that's it, and I hope you enjoyed the Prairie Dory series. And thank you very much for watching.